Alright guys, here's the gear. Port-au-Prince soap. It's the Mutton Tallow base, Stirling Soapworks, and it's the Haitian vetiver, and I believe it's lemongrass as well. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple scent. I really like it. PolSilver is the blade. My throat got a little dry. I had to clip away. PolSilver, and we're looking at maybe the 10th use or so on this blade. The other bits you're going to be familiar with from recent shaves. I'm going to continue using this V1 Fanchurian knot from That Darn Rob, and really have been enjoying that knot. Big splay, soft tips, easy splay. That's my jam. Pearl shaving, the Flexi adjustable razor. This is I was looking at the serial number. This is the version 5 that I have. I used the 5, then the last shave I used the 7. Now we're going to try the PolSilver blade with the 5 and the 7 again, and we'll see if we get any differences between the 5 and 7. Maybe there was a small difference between the two razors when I used the Perma Sharp blade. If I had to give an edge, nice choice of words, to one of them, it would have to be maybe the version 7, maybe a little smoother, but really probably identical. So we're just going to see if anything comes out again before I send this version 5 back to Pearl, because they were so kind and sent me the 7 as a replacement. And I'll tell you why in a second, in case you don't know. I have had this soaking for a while, and so the tips are nice and wet in a really good way. And I am going to put it back in the water just to standardize that. One thing I noticed earlier today, picked up the razor I'd used the night before, and I unscrewed it, and some drops of water, 3-4 drops of water came out of here. And so that made me realize that if you get to the end of your shave, you've kind of rinsed your razor out, and you haven't really shaken it up too much, and you lock that down, then if there's any water in the body, it can't get out if you store it vertically or even, this way. You have to really kind of turn it over to let that water be able to get out. And so I think maybe in the future, when I am done with a shave, or especially if I have it in a hanger or something, I'll just loosen up that, and that way we can get full gravity to get that water out of there and not let it stagnate in there, just in case I don't return to it for several months, just because we have such a nice big array of razors to use. I'm going to keep it on the number 2 setting, just like I used it 2 shaves ago. And let's put the PolSilver in it. The Perma Sharp was a very good blade with this razor. Even at the 2 setting though, which is close to the mild end, it still had the capability of giving me a little bit of razor burn if I lapsed in technique. So we'll see how the PolSilver works. Now with this model, I discovered that if you just kind of assemble everything without thinking about it, it's possible to get the blade out of alignment. And I figured out the solution. The problem was that the top cap doesn't center itself properly on the rest. And so if you just kind of hold it, it's not tightened. If you press down, and I'm going to wiggle my thumb back and forth to kind of auto center, and then I can screw it in and lock it in. And that's all it takes. And then let's check. We can just visually confirm, yep, everything's exactly right. And so I would have been happy with this version 5, but then as I did videos with it, I would have always had to tell you guys about that workaround. And so I thought I'd do Pearl a favor in a sense, and be able to test 2 razors potentially, and it worked out that way. Version 5 and version 7. They sent me a version 7 because their customer service is good. And then I want to send this back to them. So that's ready to go. Port-au-Prince. Focusing on Stirling products because this January 2022 is the 10th anniversary of when Stirling started business, and they represent such a wonderful value, such wonderful values in terms of generosity, in terms of character, honesty, that sort of thing, as well as the value. This is these 6-ounce tubs, 5.8 ounces of soap for less, sometimes for half as much as other soaps that may not even be better in terms of performance. And sometimes that twice as much is for less soap anyway. So it's just an amazing value. The beef tallow is a terrific lathering soap. This Port-au-Prince, it's a strong scent. And so Rod was able to put it in the lamb tallow, the mutton tallow base, which is even better than the beef tallow. Now, I talked to Rod, and he said that he doesn't know about the destiny of the mutton tallow. And so I went ahead and bought some, even after I had purchased this one, because I just want to make sure I had it around. It's getting more expensive with COVID and just problems throughout the world in terms of prices and things like that. Okay, so if you're interested in some mutton tallow and you want to make sure you get some, I mean, it's still $13 a jar here. You can also buy the 4-ounce refill puck, which you can put in any container if you want, if you don't want to have to buy the plastic tub. Anyway, so there you go. I know that he did, I think, remove 1 or 2 of the scents of the mutton tallow from the inventory. Maybe they weren't selling as well. Perhaps, was it Glastonbury or Texas on Fire? Is Texas on Fire one of the mutton tallows? See, it's been too long. I can't remember. I know Glastonbury is. I know that Port-au-Prince is. All right. I'll have to check and see. I'm going to get my face wet. We'll load up the brush. Now, when you have worked with a base consistently, of course, you'll learn how long you need to load it for. Especially when you use one consecutively, then you're going to be leaving behind a little moisture in the soap. And so, as you use it consecutively, you'll be able to reduce your load time until you get to that flat point where you're leveling off, because you'll gradually add more and more moisture to the soap if you're brush loading instead of scooping. Then, like for instance with MDC, I got to where I was doing like 11 swirls. I even stopped counting seconds because I needed to load so little, because so much of that top had the moisture, had the hydration, made it easier to give up the soap. And Stirling is the same way. It may be a 20-25 second load is what I need to do if the soap puck has been sitting around for a couple of months. But if I use the same puck every day, I could probably lower that down. Maybe 15 seconds is all I need to do. And of course it does depend on the brush as well. How soft the tips are, that sort of thing, which backbone it has, all that. All right, I'm going to shake a lot of the water out. And then we'll tweak you guys down so you can see the loading. And let's just do 30 seconds. Oh, 0 is going to roll around right there, make it nice and easy to count. This is a soft brush, but in combination with that water, should be able to pick up all we need in 30 seconds. See, half of that time is already gone. Sometimes you may want to gauge different things. You may want to, instead of counting the seconds, you may want to, if you get it the same amount of wetness each time, I'm going to go to 35 seconds because we're not overflowing at all. If you get the brush the same wetness each time, then you can use something like the overflow or the consistency of what you're building up here in the brush. You can use that as landmarks to know when to stop. This is a strongly scented soap. Definitely a far cry from a lot of the other Stirling scents that are, especially the ones that are based on colognes, that are often kind of lightly scented. This is not that. It's got a strong, bold scent. The first I ever smelled of this scent was through the aftershave. I had a sample of the aftershave and I tried it. It was too strong. It was too much, too intense for me. It's not something I wanted to kind of have on me for a couple hours. You know, it's just too much. And so I didn't get the soap because of that. But what I didn't know was that often the soap is just not quite as intense as the aftershave. And I don't know why I didn't figure that out sooner, but then when I did, I went and ordered some and I realized, oh man, this is a wonderful soap scent. I'm a big fan. I ordered it because all of a sudden I realized that I wanted to take a trip. I wanted to take a trip through the Mutton Tallow base options. And so I ordered the sheep, I ordered the electric sheep, I ordered the Glastonbury, Port-au-Prince, and I believe Texas on Fire is the other non-sheep name that belongs in the Mutton Tallow base family. And the Glastonbury, I guess, has a little bit of funkiness to it, so that works with the sheep tallow, kind of the scent of the base. And then, of course, Texas on Fire is a strong scent, much like the Port-au-Prince. I probably could have loaded for a little bit longer, but looks like we're good to go. It's a beautiful lather, got a nice sheen to it. Pull it up, you can see how we got a well hydrated lather here. Hopefully it's not too wet. I bet it's okay. I used Full Measure of Man, a wonderful tobacco scent from Barrister & Man lately, and I forgot that Excelsior was very low structure and kind of gluey, so I made it too wet both times I used it. Hopefully I didn't do that again. Get some water on my face again. All right. Definitely a well-hydrated lather. And it's just hydrated enough where it is starting to throw itself around a little bit. You get rid of some of the excess into the bowl and keep it off my shirt. And as I see how wet this is, I like the feel, but why not? Let's boost it up just a little bit. Make it just a little bit more creamy. We're already nicely hydrated, and so it's definitely not going to get pasty, but you'll see it get a little bit more opaque. We'll get kind of a more luxury feel. What the Mutton Tallow is just known for. I haven't met anybody, haven't seen anybody online try the Mutton Tallow and not like the performance and not just rave about it and say that it, everybody says it just beats it even beats the already very good beef tallow formula from Stirling. Yeah, see, we're not dropping lather anymore. Thicken it up just a little bit. Plenty of lather here, and this stuff here is just going to go to waste. I mean, look how awesome that is. So let's put it back in the bowl. Oh, and you can just feel the slickness there. Did we keep the setting of 2? Yes, we did. All right, so blade in here is which one? PolSilver. Hard to get these days, but there are a few of you probably have still some in your own personal stock. Easily cutting through. And I think we're looking at a little over a day's growth. No problem. Moving through that. As always, loosely holding the razor. Doesn't even really matter. I mean, you can see, you don't see too many online shavers holding it like that, right? In my opinion, it doesn't really matter how you hold it, as long as it's loosely, as long as it's tight enough to maintain control, but loose enough to where if you're coming along and you hit a bump, then the head moves over the bump. See, if you hold it in the center of gravity, then the razor can have a little bit of movement. To me, that's the most important part of the whole razor holding thing. Very nice. Now, because my lather was a little bit wet, I dab my face dry with a towel in most of the major spots. And that'll help to take away some of the moisture from the lather. Very happy with the performance of the soap here. It may be a little bit. Yeah, this is perfect here. That's terrific. Cross grain now. Lifting my chin up so that I get a little bit of a taut skin surface. Short strokes in kind of a tender area. In this case, does a good job of keeping me from getting razor burn. And yeah, you can feel that creaminess as you go back. Very nice. Because that one was perfect, I went ahead and did the same thing. Just dabbed some of the general areas of my face with the towel. I'm going to end up with plenty of lather today. Easily going to take care of it with what's on the brush there. Then we have another pass. Let's still in the bowl. And as I was doing the rinse just now, it's easy to tell. I could just walk away from this shave. This is definitely going to be one where I'm touching up just maybe a few little pieces of stubble that are laying around. It felt very clean and clear even after just 2 passes. I don't go against the grain because it irritates my skin. I don't even do 2 cross grain passes that oppose each other. That's another common piece of advice that I've even given out as well. If you are giving yourself a little bit of irritation chasing that, baby butt smooth shave, then how about you skip the against the grain pass and do a across the grain pass as your 3rd pass. But the variation is you can switch directions, and that's great. And so in my cheeks, I do across the grain here for pass number 2. And so by that definition, I could do across the grain this way for pass number 3. But I get such a great shave going this direction twice that I don't care. And this is so much more of a nicer movement for me. This is a little bit more awkward. And so I'm getting the results I want. So why do the awkward bit of it? I just wanted to touch up a little area here. Very nice. All right, so here we are after the shave. I do have just a touch of kind of irritation around here. I think maybe I'm learning that this Pearl Flexi, even at the lower settings, I mean, maybe I could get away with it at 1, but when I switch and go cross grain this way on the 3rd pass, I did it a little bit on the 2nd pass, that might be a little bit too aggressive of a movement for my hair growth. I think maybe my hair lays down really close to the surface, and so when the blade gets underneath it, kind of lifts it up, it pulls up some of the skin too, enough to where it kind of irritates the skin, rakes the blade across it. I'm just guessing. I don't know why I'm not able to go against the grain like so many other guys can. I mean, I can do it, but I end up with cuts and a whole lot of razor burn. And I just don't need to, because there are plenty of razor and blade combinations that give me a wonderful, wonderful close shave, just sticking with cross grain tactics here on my neck. And it probably bears mentioning that this is a V1 Fanchurian, and he may be on 13 or 12 right now. And so it's just a lesson that just because something is the newer version, especially in brushes, it doesn't mean it's the best one. Often it just means it's different. And so you may find, like with declaration batches, there are certain versions that really suit you and your style and other ones that don't. You can do that research and find out. I don't know if the information on the different Fanchurian hair types, the versions that he has, I don't know if it's as available as the Declaration. You can do some searches, and while on Declaration's website it doesn't really describe the different batches, if you do some research you'll find people that have done comparisons and every once in a while you'll find a good list. I know there's a couple on Reddit that went up to maybe from 1 to 13 or something, and it was really neat. Maybe 1 to 12. But you can often find comparisons between 2 or 3 batches if you just do some searching. And sometimes it takes some legwork, like just pick a batch, V1, or in Declaration's case, it'd be the B1 or B5, do some B5 searches, read a bunch of people's opinions, and you can't even trust one person's opinion because there is often a difference in the batch itself. I've got 3 different B13 knots, and they're all different. They're different sizes, but that also makes them behave differently, and so I would give a different report. They're all slightly different. That's the thing. And so when you try to find one, it's good to do your research, unfortunately. And it takes time. Now, one thing I love about these tips here, they're soft during the shaving experience here. They have been treated. They do curl a little bit when they dry, but they don't dry crispy. They, at least in 24 hours, they're not crispy. You can still feel them and have a nice plush fur type feel here, and I enjoy doing that in my off time. It's part of the experience for me. And you can see how big the bloom here is, and this is maybe a 26. I don't think it's a 28. And so it acts like a big brush, but it's really kind of a normal sized knot. It's just very dense, and it's got lots of loft, and so it can splay over like you see. Enjoy this one. So I thoroughly enjoyed Port-au-Prince from Stirling today, celebrating Stirling's 10 years of business, and performance was excellent. Nice luxury slickness, creaminess there in the Mutton tallow, and a great scent, bold, lots of character, very manly. I like this one a good bit. Brush was wonderful. The PolSilver was a nice match, probably just as good as the Perma Sharp in this kit with this razor for me. And like I said, I wonder if I jostle him a little bit. Maybe I didn't rinse him quite as much as the other one, and so we may not have any water in the inside of the body. So the Pearl Flexi is a lifetime quality razor because it's not zinc alloy or Zamac or pot metal, all those words. I'm taking the pieces and rinsing them off, putting them over on my little hand towel. It is a brass in the core construction of the parts, and then they lay on some layers of plating. I'm not exactly sure what different alloys they might use. Now, this is the base plate, and it's in 2 parts. The upper part that is near the blade, that's the foundation for the blade to lay on, is something that you can put some distance in. If you move it to the 6, you can put a little gap there between the top and the safety bar, the layer that has the safety bar on it. And I just like to give that a good rinse, because if you keep it on a low gap, then you could get some grime or something in there, and there's never really any rinsing to clear that away. The Taiga can be disassembled fully for cleaning. I used it recently, the Home-Like Shaving Taiga. This one, I don't think it's built to be disassembled. And so getting between those base plates and stuff, and I think this has less room in it with the 6 than the gap that I remember seeing with the version 7. So this is the version 5. When I said 6 I meant the setting 6, the largest gap. I think I can see less space here between the 2 plates with this version 5 than with my version 7. I'll have to take a look at that and see if that's really true. And so it may have little difference down where I like to shave at the 1 or the 2 setting, but maybe when you pump it up to 5 or 6, there's more of a difference in the shave. All right, right, how much water did I use? Hey, 18 milliliters. And that was for, I went back to the soap once or twice. 35. I'm glad I went the extra 5 seconds instead of just 30. I'm glad I went more. So maybe a 38-second load by the time you piece together what I did during the shave. 18 milliliters of water, 38 seconds of loading. That's pretty much perfect. Now, let's try the Agar balm, the oud scent of the Agar. Put a little bit of water. I also left time there for my skin to develop any itchiness or irritation, and it didn't. The soap just did me favors, helped my skin out, very kind, didn't dry me out or anything like that. And so let's see, I am just confident that the vetiver is going to work well with the oud scent of the Agar here, because vetiver and oud are commonly seen together in scent descriptions of some of my favorite scents, and so surely they'll work together, right? And there we go. Stirling does a good balm. Lots of scent choices, of course, because most of their scents do have the balm available. All right, and if you put a little water on there, it's not as greasy, a little goes a long way kind of thing. And I think that's today's shave. Very good. Showed you the brush at the end. I like to do that. Yeah, we're happy campers today. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's something in this video for you. Next time we shave, I will use the PolSilver like I did today with the version 7 Flexi instead of today's version 5. See if there's any difference. Today was about 1.5 days of growth, and it was mowed down. It was mown down. It was mowed down easily and effortlessly. Just went through it without any problem at all. No tugging or hint of tugging or anything like that. And it is a 10th use or 11th use PolSilver. Many people would have thrown it away by now. But of course, since PolSilver has been discontinued, even folks who are 3 or 5 shave and then Bennett shavers, perhaps they would be tempted to keep PolSilvers around a little bit longer, especially if they're still shaving fine. All right, guys, take care now. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.